Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to present. Michele, the President and CEO of the New Jersey Business and Industry Association. We represent over 1 million jobs in the state of New Jersey. 85% of those 1 million jobs are 50 employees or less. And I'm here today to share with you, in addition to our written comments, why we strongly oppose A15. NJBIA is a tireless champion and advocate for workforce development and have been over the 108 years of our existence. We have historically been opposed to artificially inflating the value of a low-skilled job without contemporaneously having consideration to how we lift the skills of New Jersey's workers. Today, here in New Jersey, right today, we have tens of thousands of vacant jobs, middle-level skilled jobs that pay middle-income wages, tens of thousands. And our focus could be on how do we help to lift the skills of our entry-level workers today so that we can make a ready workforce to fill those tens of thousands of vacant jobs here in the state of New Jersey today. That said, we know that we have a national movement toward increasing the wages of low-skilled workers, and we know that New Jersey wants to be at the forefront of that. And we've worked on this bill with our policymakers over the past some years. And we've taken a practical approach. We've come to our policymakers and we've said that we request an economically responsible and predictive pathway to increasing that wage. We've met with our small business members, our nonprofit members, our seasonal employers, and our workforce development partners. And we've come together with ideas and considerations on how we could help to mitigate and make this pathway more economically palatable for those small businesses here in the state of New Jersey. However, and also, we've studied this and the outcomes of other states, as well as where other states have looked to mitigate the impact on small businesses. We've done all that work and we've shared that with all of you, and you've heard from many of our members, especially over the last few days. But what we are presented with today is a bill that falls woefully short of economically responsible. And I want to explain why we feel that way. First and foremost, there's no economic analysis in the bill. We don't have to remind ourselves of what happened in a post-2009 recession, and even more importantly, we don't have to remind ourselves of what happened 2, 3, 4, and 5 years post-Superstorm Sandy. It was New Jersey's smallest businesses that were hit the hardest during that time, many of which, especially across the shore, didn't even come back into existence. And yet we don't want to hit a pause button when we have a natural occurrence like that or a significant recession to ensure that the economic analysis would afford these businesses the ability to continue that rate. I suggest that's significantly important, and in fact, even California recognized that. A very progressive state recognized the need for an economic trigger and a safeguard to take a pause when certain economic circumstances happen. We need to be concerned about total compensation and the impact on health benefits. NJBIA, every year, we survey our members. We know that in the last survey, 7% decrease of those who are providing medical benefits today because of the cost here in the state of New Jersey. Not because they don't want to do the right thing, because the cost escalates every year. And we know that their pie, their economic pie of what they can afford, is getting smaller and smaller every day. So when we put a new cost on them, on the wage side, where are they going to turn to? We are concerned, and they have told us they will turn to benefits. And we should be concerned about that because now we're going to create a healthcare crisis in the state of New Jersey. Compression. Total compensation is important because when we lift the wages at one level, we lift them across the entire, not just within a vertical industry, horizontally across the entire state of New Jersey. And the example I love to use is the counter person at the Burger King, of which I was at 16 years of age. If I was able to make $15, the paralegal in the law firm who's making 17 and change with a certificate will walk into the managing partner of the law firm and say, "Where's my 80% increase in wages?" That's going to permeate all the way up vertically and horizontally. Medicaid providers. We've heard from some nonprofits today. Medicaid providers rely on state government to reimburse. The state does not reimburse up to $15 an hour today. Where is that money going to come from? The state's going to have to increase their reimbursement, or we are going to have a crisis in that industry. And those are our most vulnerable residents in the state of New Jersey, being taken care of by that industry. So now we're going to look to our state budget, which is already challenged. We need to understand, we need to fiscally understand where that money for those increases is going to come from, because you can't leave that industry out there without that reimbursement. And while we're talking about government workers, we heard from different levels of government today that they're going to have a direct increase in cost, and we need to understand where that's going to come from. Small business exemption. 5 employees or less, I just explained to you that I represent 85% of 1 million jobs that are 50 employees or less. We are the authoritative voice for small business in the state of New Jersey. That is a small business. But I will share with you, according to the U.S. Small Business Association, right here today in the state of New Jersey, those employing 20 employees or less employ 600,000 jobs. That's 600,000 residents who are employed in a company that has 20 employees or less. We need to reconsider our definition of small business. And I also think we just need to think about, as we talk about exemption, we're not talking about a pure exemption. You're talking about a slower ramp up for those companies. It means we're just delaying the pain, because if they can't afford $15 3 or 4 years from now, I doubt they're going to be able to afford it 5 or 6 years from now. The current bill does not consider state and federal contracts or collective bargaining agreements, contracts that are already in play right now. What's going to happen to those companies that have to honor those contracts? We have defense contractors here in the state of New Jersey, manufacturing companies in South Jersey, who are on federal contracts that are 5 and 10 years long, and they're paying about $11 or $12 an hour. They're not going to be able to change those contracts, and they're not going to be able to compete with those in other states. Seasonal workers, we heard about 4 seasons. That's very important for you to consider. And I just want to come back to the concept of lifting skills, because right across the river in New York, they recognized that they were concerned about leaving those who want to help the most behind if we don't help to lift skills at the same time we talk about lifting wages. And they recognized tax credits for companies to hire young employees. We can't put our youth out of business. That job I got at 16 years old, that taught me how to show up on time, how to take direction, how to make change in customer service. Skills that are lifelong for me that I use at this day today. I'd hate to see our 16 and 17-year-olds knocked out of the box. So we need to have consideration for how we help to invest in our companies so that our companies can continue to invest in workforce development skills. All of this comes on the top of an affordability crisis here in the state of New Jersey. You don't have to listen to the radio, read the headlines, and you all talk about it every day. We have an affordability crisis. We heard the cost of rent. We need to change something, structural deficiencies in the state of New Jersey. Of course, young people and those with low wages can't afford to live here. We need to do something to change the cost of living in the state of New Jersey. That doesn't mean putting it on the back of small business to make up the difference. And I will finish with this. I had a phone call this morning from one of our members who is in the quick serve industry. And he shared with me the actual cost that it will be for him. He employs about 1,000 hours of labor a week. And he said that $1 more is $1,000 more a week, times 52 weeks is $52,000. January 1, 2020, when you include payroll taxes, that will be a 35% increase on his payroll, be over $100,000. He does not have that in his payroll today, and he won't have it 11 months from now. So he's going to make all those changes you heard the other small businesses talk about here this morning. This is a 35% increase within 1 year on New Jersey's smallest businesses. Thank you very much.